kilometres an hour through a tunnel. 17 points separate Jorge Lorenzo in second place, and the man alongside him who leads the World Championship, Marc Marquez. They're back. We wait for that red flag to be taken away. This is the 17th successive running of the French Motorcycle Grand Prix at the Bugatti circuit. Lorenzo, Marquez and Iannone on the front row of the grid. The French Grand Prix is underway and Lorenzo has made a flyer.
Lorenzo fast out of the gate. Marc Marquez has already dropped a few positions. Pol Espargaro swept through, as has Andrea Dovizioso, but Lorenzo got the whole shot. He will lead into that Dunlop chicane. Marc Marquez has already been pushed back down to 5th place. Bradley Smith got away well. He's up the inside of Valentino Rossi. Rossi sweeps back though. Rossi is going 1 place up into 6th. Lorenzo leads.
It's the rider's nightmare. The perfect start from Jorge Lorenzo as they plunge down through the La Chapelle corner. Out on the left there, that's where the 24-hour car racing circuit goes. Up towards the museum corner. Can Iannone stay the pace? Dovizioso up the inside of Pol Espargaro.
Yeah, Iannone just moving Pol Espargaro out wide at the museum corner. That's allowed Marc Marquez to sweep back through. Marc Marquez had a pretty tough start for the line. Pol Espargaro though fights straight back. Will he run wide? Marquez, oh what an aggressive move by Marquez down at the garage there corner. Left foot off the foot pegs for Pol Espargaro. That was close.
They race down now towards the Shimano Buff S's. Lorenzo leads the way. Pol Espargaro scrapping it out with Valentino Rossi. Oh, Marquez and Espargaro, remember those battles in the Moto2 World Championship.
Oh, Valentino Rossi's getting dusted up here. Cal Crutchlow, Aleix Espargaro up the inside. Rossi's in a sandwich there between Aleix Espargaro and Bradley Smith. Very, very rare to see the Italian get roughed up here in the early part of the race. He tries to retaliate up the inside of Bradley Smith. He does indeed. Rossi fighting back up the inside of the Czech through Yamaha.
Oh, it's just the sort of fight that Valentino Rossi does not want to be involved in. Lorenzo crosses the line. He has almost half a second advantage over Dovizioso, Iannone, Marquez, Pol Espargaro, Aleix Espargaro, Valentino Rossi up towards the Dunlop chicane.
Rossi up the inside of Aleix Espargaro. He started 7th, he ended the first lap in 7th place, but he's back up inside the top 6 then. Made the move stick on Aleix Espargaro through the Dunlop chicane. Next in his sights will be Aleix's younger brother Pol Espargaro, who got pretty roughed up on the first lap by Marc Marquez. Lorenzo still leading from Andrea Dovizioso. Then it's Andrea Iannone. Marc Marquez 1.6 seconds behind the race leader in 4th.
It plunges downhill now towards the garage vert right-hander that brings them onto this short back straight. There are the two Ducatis. Then Marquez, you see. Marquez has had problems down at this corner during practice and qualifying, and then accelerate up towards the Shimano Buff S's. Lorenzo, the gap staying pretty constant at the moment, but this is what he does, and then when he has to, he just opens the throttle and can disappear. Can the Ducatis hang on to the Yamaha in these early stages?
Valentino Rossi edging ever closer to Pol Espargaro in 5th place. That's the new gap. It's over half a second for the first time in this race. We know how superior Jorge Lorenzo can be with clear tarmac in front of him. This is where he loves to be. This is where he excels. The onus now is on the likes of Dovizioso and Andrea Iannone to try and make a fight of this 28-lap race. We're about to complete the 2nd lap. There's Bradley Smith just ahead of Maverick Vinales, who again was a poor starter, Vinales.
Yeah, there's Bradley Smith. It's Maverick Vinales just behind. 300-kilometre right-hander. They break now for the chicane. Vinales, Rossi up the inside of Pol Espargaro. Has he made it stick? He has. Pol Espargaro is having a right old roughing up in this race, isn't he?
Yeah, Pol Espargaro actually had the quicker line through that first chicane, but because Rossi had the tighter line, it meant that Pol Espargaro had no choice but just to momentarily close the throttle. He had to run wide. It was a classic kind of block pass manoeuvre by Valentino Rossi. Maverick Vinales on the charge. He's up the inside of Bradley Smith. There's been some hard but fair moves out there so far. No such drama at the front as yet for Jorge Lorenzo, who's just put in the personal best lap of the race, a 1:33.724. Rossi now to chase down Marc Marquez. He's 1.2 seconds behind the Spaniard.
Unaware of all the drama behind him, Jorge Lorenzo tries to turn the screw at the front as they come into the Shimano Buff S's. Left and right, 3rd sector time will come up for the world champion and the race winner here last year. Dovizioso, though, you've got to say, he's hanging on by his fingernails not to let him get away.
Yeah, Andrea Dovizioso is actually doing a phenomenal job at the moment, putting all the bad luck behind him. Missed the front row of the grid here in Le Mans yesterday for the first time since 2011, but that gap's definitely shrunk just a fraction. Will track Lorenzo over the line, still might be around half a second. Lorenzo does cross the line, fastest man on track, fastest lap of the race is Andrea Iannone. The Ducati's doing everything within their power, and they've got lots of power to try and hunt down Jorge Lorenzo.
Bradley Smith coming under pressure from Cal Crutchlow and Danny Pedrosa, who made a poor start. Smith currently running in 9th place as they come up towards the Dunlop chicane. In front of him, you can see it was a Maverick Vinales and Leighton Spargo and Paul Spargo. Down towards La Chapelle once again. Two Spargo brothers now locked in combat, aren't they? It's younger brother Paul that leads the way. The Leish will have something to say about that as they break for the museum corner. Oh, moment there for Paul Spargo, and the Leish Spargo comes through up the inside, and Maverick Vinales comes through as well.
Yeah, it's almost like Paul Spargo just locked the front there in the braking zone. Massive wobble under the brakes. That's let the two Suzukis through, as Nick said. Danny Pedrosa's in a real dogfight with the Brits. Bradley Smith, Cal Crutchlow and Scott running just behind him. Valentino Rossi's already made a good breakaway from this chasing group. He's about 0.6 of a second, just over 0.7 now clear of Aleix Espargaro. Everybody's waiting now for the mouth-watering showdown between Rossi and Marquez. Rossi trying to hunt down the number 93. The gap now down to just 0.9 of a second.
There's a good battle down further down the field, isn't it, between Smith, Crutchlow, Pedrosa and Redding. Long way to go. Still 24.5 laps ago of this round 5 of the MotoGP World Championship.
And again, on lap 4, it's Andrea Iannone who set the best lap of the race, but it's just been bettered by Valentino Rossi. Rossi on the charge. He's cut that gap down to Marquez now to just over 0.7 of a second. Lorenzo can't quite break the shackles of the two factory Ducatis. Confirmation there on your screens of that 1:33.293 last time around for Valentino Rossi. That was 0.3 of a second quicker than the race leader Jorge Lorenzo. The problem for Rossi is Lorenzo's 3.3 seconds up the road.
You can't speak highly enough of the performance of the two Ducatis at the moment, because Lorenzo by this time in many a race would have started to prize open a fair old advantage. They're giving it absolutely everything to prevent that. But Lorenzo, you know, may just be waiting for him to settle down, waiting for the tyres to really bed in, waiting for the fuel load to go down a little bit, and then he has his ability to look at his board, see where everything is, and then try and put in some really quick laps, as if to say, right boys, you can stay with this, but can you stay with this if I up the pace?
Marc Marquez had some pretty well documented off-track problems with Valentino Rossi last year. He's about to have a big on-track problem with the Italian, because Rossi's just taking chunks of time out of Marc Marquez, although in that third sector Rossi lost 3.10, so whether Valentino Rossi might have made a mistake in the braking zone for the Chemin above chicane, we'll track that as Lorenzo comes through the Recordamont double right-hander at the end of the lap. He still leads the way from the two Ducatis. Lorenzo over the line, personal best lap of the race for him, a 1:33.459.
I reckon he's just decided to turn the screw a little bit and throw down the gauntlet to the two red Ducatis to say, right, and Iannone now says, right, Andrea Dovizioso, my turn, let me lead the pack, let me have a go, but make sure I don't take you with me down the road as I did in Argentina. But now it's Iannone in second place, and Dovizioso, well, he'll probably just hang in there and see if Iannone's got the pace to pull him along a little bit.
Of course, these two fighting for just one place available in the factory Ducati team next year. Ducati still keeping them both waiting. Iannone's a little bit wide going through the museum corner. No chance for Dovizioso to retaliate immediately. Valentino Rossi on that last lap lost 0.4 of a second in the final two sectors on Marc Marquez. He closed the gap to 0.6, but it's been edged out now to 1.3 seconds. Not sure if Valentino Rossi's got some kind of a minor issue, or whether Marc Marquez has just got his pitboard mesh and decided to up his pace.
Down through the gearbox into the Shimano Professors. We ride with Andrea Iannone. About in his face is his teammate number 4, Andrea Dovizioso. Little short straight then into the blue S's, the right-hander, first right.
What might be happening here with Marc Marquez, of course, he did go for that hard option front Michelin tyre, so he might have just had to have waited a couple of laps just for it to come in and give him the grip that he wants, because Marc Marquez at the moment is stretching away from Valentino Rossi, while at the same time closing the gap on the two Ducatis. Marc Marquez is doing exactly that. He's the fastest man on the track last time around, the Spaniard. There he is, a 1:33.576, 1.2 seconds behind Andrea Dovizioso. It's Marquez, quickest of this lead group of 5.
Well, coming in this morning, we were discussing the race. We said if Lorenzo gets away, that could be it at the front, but it should be a fierce old battle for the podium positions. You just get the feeling that is exactly what is going to happen. So 22 to go. Lorenzo Iannone, Dovizioso, Marquez, Rossi, and Scott Redding has retired out of the race. That sounds like a mechanical problem. We then have Aleix Espargaro, Vinales, Paul Espargaro, Bradley Smith, Crutchlow, Pedrosa, and Andes Petrucci. Eugene Labadie in 40th, Bradle Miller, Barbara Baz, Rabat and Batista. But Scott Redding out of the race on the Pramac Ducati.
Great shot. Oh, Iannone's crashed. Andrea Iannone was in second place, leading the chase on Jorge Lorenzo. And just like he did in the opening round of the championship in Qatar, it's over for Iannone.
Garage corner has caught out Andrea Iannone. 21.5 laps to go. Let's have a look. They come down out of the museum corner. And there he goes. Front end lost. Across the extra tarmac they have there into the gravel.
Well, that's a disaster for Andrea Iannone. Not for the first time in 2016, as he squandered a great chance to get a podium finish. He did it on the opening night of the championship in Qatar in the similar circumstances when he was chasing down Lorenzo. Cal Crutchlow now. 4
crashes in 5 races for Cal Crutchlow. Another 4 for him in the blue S's. This is turning into an absolute disaster for Cal Crutchlow and the LCR Honda team.
Yeah, that's a nightmare for Crutchlow. What this is doing, of course, it's helping Valentino Rossi out. Rossi's now up to 4th place. And with Iannone out of the race, it's given Lorenzo just, well, quite a big bit of breathing space, actually, because he's 1.5 seconds now clear of Andrea Dovizioso. We know how great Lorenzo is at managing this race, and with 21 laps to go, he's in the prime seat to take his 2nd win of the season.
It's a good battle for 5th place.
They've had a couple of good battles of late, haven't they, the two Suzukis?
Vinales has been, Aleix Espargaro has been 5th in the last 2 races, hasn't he?
Yeah, they've finished alongside each other, actually, in the last 2 Grand Prix. Tito Rabat's also fallen out at turn number 6. So the tough rookie season as Vinales runs it wide at the Shimano Berv chicane. Rabat is out of the race.
Boy there, wasn't he, Maverick Vinales?
He was. There is Tito Rabat. That's turn 6. That's La Chapelle. That's a fast old crash for the former Moto2 world champion. Thankfully, he's on his feet, but all alone at the front of the field. Now Andrea Iannone's jump ship. And on that last lap around, Lorenzo was 0.7 of a second faster than Andrea Dovizioso. A 1:33.5 from Lorenzo. Nobody else is within 0.4 of a second of the Spaniard.
2.2 second advantage. Marquez in 3rd, Rossi, Maverick Vinales, Aleix Espargaro, Paul Espargaro, Bradley Smith, Danny Pedrosa and Danilo Petrucci, top 10. Another good ride from Eugene Labadie in 11th. Bradle, Barbara, Miller, Batista and Baz. Only 16 riders left in this race, and there's a long, long way to go. There is still just over 19 laps to go. Yeah, we've lost some big points to pick up here for riders.
There are. We've lost Johnny Hernandez as well. It's turning into a bit of a battle of attrition out there at the moment, because Rabat, Crutchlow and Andes have gone out. Scott Redding's retired. Andrea Iannone is back out there, actually. He's running around circulating in 17th place. Circulating with a fairly comfortable lead of over 2 seconds is the reigning world champion, Jorge Lorenzo, who made that lightning start, as he's so accustomed to doing. Once you give him clear tarmac, it's crucial for the race that Marquez or Dovizioso or Iannone made the start. Marquez had a nightmare launch off the line, but he's doing a great job now of trying to hunt down Andrea Dovizioso. The gap's coming down, in actual fact. 7/10 he is behind Dovizioso. This could be great damage limitation for Marquez.
Guys, just a very quick word on Scott Redding. So he's now come back to the box. His bike hasn't yet, and the first word is essentially the engine just stopped.
Bad luck for Scott Redding. You know, that excellent result won in Austin, but things haven't gone so well with him apart from that particular race on his switch to Ducati. Yeah, Marc Marquez again, Mr. Consistency, damage limitation, but the difference is he picks up 20 points. The gap at the front will still be 12 points between him and Lorenzo.
That is bad luck.
Pretty good stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, bad luck for Scott Redding when you think as well he was running inside the top 6 in Argentina when he had a mechanical failure, didn't he, as well? So the second time in 4 races that Scott Redding's been forced to retire with a technical issue. Marquez is definitely edging closer to Andrea Dovizioso.
Isn't he? Visibly now he is closing on him. That's at the museum corner, down towards Garage Vert. This is the corner that caught out Andrea Iannone when he was chasing Jorge Lorenzo. There is Dovizioso. Marquez has got him clearly in his sights now as he comes out of Garage Vert up towards the Shimano Professors. Slight right and it dips down towards this left and right chicane.
Valentino Rossi's definitely not out of this fight for the podium. His victory hopes might be over if this man continues to ride a picture-perfect race under the Le Mans sunshine. But Rossi's only 1.2 seconds behind Marc Marquez, and he'll see Andrea Dovizioso coming back to the Repsol Honda ride, so that'll be a good incentive for Rossi. Of course, he'll be looking for his 3rd podium finish of the season.
Yeah, Marquez closing all the time on the number 4 red Ducati of Andrea Dovizioso. They come through the second part of the Blue S's, through Recorder One, up through the start and finish. Still 18 laps to go. We're nowhere like half distance yet. Let's have a look at the start.
Yeah, Marquez. Lorenzo got a sensational start. Look at Marc Marquez, passed by Pol Espargaro, by Andrea Dovizioso from the second row of the grid. He came under threat as well from Bradley Smith. It was only because Marquez had the inside line that he was able to just leave his braking a fraction later. Bradley Smith actually had a big moment on the brakes. He lost the front going into that first chicane. But Lorenzo had already got 7 or 8 bike lengths off the line. He absolutely judged it to perfection.
Well, I've been watching the practice starts at the end of all the sessions, and Lorenzo has not made one bad practice start. And we were saying yesterday, well, there's got to be one bad one in the weekend. This could be it. But not the case, is it? Not the case. Perfect start, and now just running away with the race. And you know, I know, and everybody else in the world knows this man, when he leads like this, can keep those concentration levels absolutely to their highest level.
Yeah, Lorenzo's clearing off into the distance, but we're about to get a pretty exciting battle for the podium, which is what Andrea Dovizioso predicted yesterday. He felt there could be 4 or 5 riders behind Lorenzo that were capable of challenging for the rostrum. We've already lost Andrea Iannone, who would have been in this fight had he not crashed out a couple of laps ago. But the gap between these 3, Dovizioso, Marquez and Rossi, it's really closing up. Rossi now is within 0.7 of a second of Marquez. That's the same distance between Dovizioso and the Spaniard, no doubt about it, plus 0.6 Marquez, and that's exactly what it is over the line.
Yeah, and the Ducati ball told us 17 laps ago, this is a 28-lap race. So we've still got a long, long way to go. And Marquez has, well, Dylan would just help us here, chosen that harder compound front tyre that will probably help him a bit under braking now, won't it, Dylan?
It's certainly going to help him under braking, but if there's one warning sign for him, the 2 other people, Karl Crutchlow and Tito Rabat, they also chose that harder option front tyre. They have unfortunately both crashed out, so the only other person is Loris Baz, but that's arguably different because he is so much heavier than the other guys on the front. So a little warning sign for Marc Marquez. And as I speak, Andrea Iannone, he had tried to keep running, but has now decided to retire in the pits.
In for Andrea Iannone, absolute disaster. Once again, he crosses out of a potential podium position, and he can't keep doing that, can he, Matt?
No, yeah, front end just washing away. You think,
he did it in Qatar, he did it in Argentina. He's a man that could be second in the World Championship as well, isn't he? Oh,
yeah,
I mean, he had.
I mean, not only are these crashes costly in terms of his World Championship, Nick, but what are they doing for his chances of retaining that Desmos Adichie GP seat alongside Jorge Lorenzo next year? He's doing himself...
Andrea Dovizioso, perhaps not really thinking of that at the moment, but he's doing his cause a great deal of good, isn't he?
Yeah, and unlike Andrea Dovizioso, who's had all the bad luck, all of Andrea Iannone's problems have been self-inflicted, haven't they? You know, it's been unforced errors that have come from Andrea Iannone. This is going to be a really, really classic fight very, very quickly for second place. We're on board with Valentino Rossi. Big head shake at 300 kilometres an hour as he comes through that corner. He closes now right up on Marc Marquez. Not close enough to attack at the Dunlop chicane. We've got a real great scrap on our hands for second now.
Hang on to your seats, ladies and gentlemen. This is the battle between 2 people that don't get on very well, and the battle at the front of a man who's had a lot of bad luck. One of these riders is not going to finish on the podium. take a brave person to forecast which one that is going to be. Rossi just sniffs up the inside at the museum corner just to let Marquez know, I'm there and I'm ready. You make one little mistake and I'm up the inside of you. I reckon Rossi's going to come. Here comes Rossi at Garage Vert.
Rossi smelled blood. He's through on Marc Marquez. Brilliant move at the Garage Vert corner. The crowd go absolutely ballistic here in Le Mans. Valentino Rossi up into the podium places for the first time in this race. Next up then is Andrea Dovizioso. Lorenzo's almost 4 seconds clear of this battle. Can Marquez respond? This is a great fight.
This is a real test of that new Marc Marquez and to stay calm and get consistent results because he just wants to bite back at him. Rossi really is on the charge. Rossi is going to have a go at Andrea Dovizioso, either at the Dunlop chicane or perhaps where he actually got past Marc Marquez down at Garage Vert. We'll stand by with 14 laps to go. Sorry, 15 laps to go of this 28-lap race.
Yeah, no doubt about it, the quickest of this trio is Valentino Rossi. None of them have got the pace for Jorge Lorenzo. He's just whacked in his fastest lap of the race. Oh, Rossi got a bit tight on the rear end of Dovizioso through the Dunlop chicane. Managed to pull it up on the brakes. No move, though, for Rossi as yet. Lorenzo's just put in a 1:33.432. That's his best lap of the race. He was, last time around, 1.3 seconds quicker than Dovizioso. One-man demolition.
Here comes Rossi up the inside at the museum corner as he made it stick. Valentino Rossi, listen to the crowd. He has now moved into second place.
We said Rossi was on the charge. There's no doubt about it. Andrea Dovizioso's podium hopes could be fading pretty fast here because he'll come under intense pressure again now from Marc Marquez. Has Rossi, as it looks like, got the pace to stretch away from Dovizioso and Marquez? Look at how much time Marquez loses on the acceleration coming out of turn number 9. He gets absolutely blitzed with that lack of acceleration on that Honda. He closes up in the braking zone, but what he's doing is he's abusing that front tyre. He's overworking that front tyre. That's what causing the issues in Jerez. But he can see Valentino Rossi's in his sights. He will not be giving this up without one almighty fight.
Certainly will not. Through the Recordamont corner into a start and finish. 14 laps to go. Rossi in second place. Lorenzo is cleared off at the front. Andrea Dovizioso and Marc Marquez hang in there. One of those riders, as I say, is going to be disappointing. Vignales in 5th. 6th is Aleix Espargaro. Danny Pedrosa 7th. Paul Espargaro 8th. Bradley Smith 9th. And Danilo Petrucci should cross the line in 10th place. Still waiting for him to arrive. Yeah, Petrucci is through. Barber 11, Lavany 12, Miller 13, 14 Battista, and completing the points, Stefan Bradl in 15th place.
Marc Marquez is hanging in there. He's got that hard option front tyre on, so he'll have the braking stability. He won't have the turning performance, the cornering agility of those two riders in front of him. So if he's got to make a lunge on the brakes, he's got to make sure it's surgeon-like precision.
This is a big old race for Andrea Dovizioso after all that bad luck. His teammate Andrea Iannone is out of the race. They're fighting for that place at Ducati. He's not known for out-and-out aggression, is he, Andrea Dovizioso? But he's really hanging in there well at the moment. But it's difficult for him because he's got the man in front he wants to take, but he's got a man right on his rear wheel as well.
Yeah, Rossi has yet just over.
It hasn't been at the pull away.
He's not been able to get away. We thought that Rossi, once he got to the front of this battle for second place, he might just be able to slowly eke away from Dovizioso and Marquez. While this is all going on, we should keep a close eye on Maverick Viñales, because last time around he was in the 33s. The only other rider to be doing that was Jorge Lorenzo. And Viñales probably out of contention for this second place fight, but he's pulled away quite considerably from his teammate Aleix Espargaro. You get a perfect illustration of the problems that Marc Marquez and Honda have got in 2016 coming out of that Garage Vert corner. Low gear, hard acceleration. The Yamaha and the Ducati are just able to take 6, 7, 8 bike lengths out of Marc Marquez. And what that means, of course, is Marquez has got to take much more risks in the braking zone, not only to close the gap he loses on the corner exit, but to try. Oh, Marquez is down! Oh, they're both down! Dovizioso and Marquez have crashed in tandem! Incredible!
Both gone down. Did they touch?
No,
I don't think they did.
Marquez
touch.
went down first, And ahead of him, Marquez, I'm sure, went down first. Well, that was tandem crashing. They almost went down absolutely together. I've never seen anything like
swimming, wasn't it?
That was incredible. I've never seen anything quite like it. That wasn't because Marc Marquez was distracted by Dovizioso. They crashed at exactly the same time.
Marquez out, Dovizioso out, Lorenzo and Rossi lead the way for Yamaha. It could put Maverick Vinales on course for his first MotoGP podium finish. He just gets on with it, Lorenzo, but what he does not know is he now leads the World Championship. Will his board tell him that Marquez and Dovizioso are out? Yes,
certainly will.
Telling them that Marquez is out of the race. Still 12 laps to go here at Le Mans. Wow.
Valentino Rossi's board, out Marquez, out Dovizioso. Thumbs up from his pit board man, Gary Coleman. What this is doing for the World Championship, it's monumental. Lorenzo will take the lead. Marc Marquez desperately trying to get that factory Honda going. Whatever he does, he won't be getting back inside the points. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like that. They crashed at the exact same time. Here we go. This is a replay. We'll follow Rossi. Dovizioso's going to... There we go. There was... If you had to stop watching those two, if somebody timed the moment that they both lost the front, it was exactly the same time. They both looked at each other almost in shock.
Yeah, I remember. Well, look at that. I remember.
Incredible.
I think it was Mick Doohan and Wayne Gardner at the Nürburgring doing exactly the same. Well, I remember commentating saying the same. It's like synchronised swimming.
And there, look, Jorge Lorenzo has just swept through on a very disconsolate Marc Marquez. There is a massive, massive swing in the momentum of this World Championship coming here in France, because Jorge Lorenzo is poised to take over the lead in the World Championship. And with Valentino Rossi in second place, Rossi will only be 12 points behind. Rossi, Marquez and Lorenzo split by 12 points going to Mugello. Get your ticket now.
We're going straight there. Maverick Vinales, keep calm. You could put that Suzuki on the podium finish, his first MotoGP podium finish. Wow, will that affect how he makes that decision? Oh my God, that is a damaged old Honda, isn't it, for Marc Marquez? One would imagine he's got to come in, hasn't he?
Yeah, race direction will be keeping a pretty close eye on that bike. He has a look over his shoulder. Valentino Rossi's coming. Valentino Rossi might be getting a face full of gravel at about 300 kilometres an hour there.
Please be careful here, boys, please. Yeah,
just a sensible thing, Marc Marquez.
Absolutely. Through the Dunlop chicane, Marc Marquez's race is over. Will actually pick up some points, won't he? Because he's running in 15th place at the moment. He'll pick up a single point. So he will try and keep going, I would imagine.
Can you imagine, Nick, if you're in that factory Ducati garage right now, how many podium finishes this year have Ducati let slip through their grass? You know, he crashed out of the podium in Qatar. Both of them are going to finish on the podium in Argentina before you know he took out Dovizioso on the final lap. Andrea Dovizioso looked well set for a podium in Texas when he had those problems. This is why Jorge Lorenzo, in this situation, is invincible, completely unbeatable. Look at that consistency. 133.4 was his best on lap 13. 133.5, 133.5. He's not. There's no deviation there of more than 2 or 3 tenths of a second from. Forget the first lap, because obviously that was from a standing start, but from the second lap. His lap times until this stage of the race have not deviated by more than 2 or 3 tenths of a second. That's why he's the world champion. That's why he's going to take over the top of the World Championship, courtesy of a massive mistake. The first one of the year by Marc Marquez. I guess now we can say they've all made one big mistake this year now, can't we?
They certainly have. Well, when we look at Marc Marquez and that damaged Honda, it's his teammate Danny Pedrosa that's really on the charge now. The gap between Rossi and Lorenzo is 6 seconds. Vinales is crossing the line now in 3rd place. Then it's Danny Pedrosa, Alessio Spargaro, Paul Espargaro, Bradley Smith. It should be Danilo Petrucci. And Jack Miller has crashed out. It is a war of attrition. So Jack Miller, who was running in 10th place, has crashed out of the race. Rider OK. So Smith, and 8th is Petrucci, 9th is Barbara, 10th now is Batista on the Aprilia, 11th is Eugene Lafferty, 12th is Stefan Bradl, 13th Loris Baz, and that should put Marc Marquez actually up into 14th place if he can manage to keep going.
That would be incredible, wouldn't it, for Marc Marquez?
Could be crucial by the time we reach Valencia, those points.
Yeah, absolutely, no doubt about that. Yeah, so shocking day for the factory Ducati team, an awful day as well for Estrella Galicia, Mark VDS. Both of their riders crashing out in very different circumstances. Andrea Iannone falling out of 2nd place, Andrea Dovizioso crashing in unison with Marc Marquez while he was lying in third place.
If you hadn't seen all the other riders go through there every single lap, you'd say there's got to be something down on the circuit there, haven't you?
Well, when you saw,
and it wasn't caused by either rider. They both went down exactly the same time, didn't they? You can't say that perhaps there was a water pump problem again. Dovizioso, and some water went down on the track on it because they went down together, didn't they?
Yeah, but the way Andrea Dovizioso fell, it was almost like Marc Marquez just got distracted. We've seen that so many times. The rider goes down in front of you, you do get your eye line is immediately drawn to the rider that's already crashed out. Well, that wasn't the case. What about that battle for third? Is Dani Pedrosa still in with a shout of a podium? He's 2.5 seconds behind Maverick Vinales.
He's got a backline advantage, though, isn't he? What have we got? 8.5 laps to go.
I think he's going to run out of time. What this would do, of course, for Maverick Vinales and Suzuki, it would not only be a career first podium for Maverick Vinales in MotoGP, it would be Suzuki's first since Loris Capirossi, was it, in Brno in
2007?
I think it was in 2009.
Might have been. It certainly was in Brno. Here we go. Dovizioso back in. This time, it's not bad luck. Boy, you wouldn't want to be in that Ducati garage at the moment. This is the replay. This is coming up to the museum corner. I will say nothing. It's an extraordinary crash.
I can't believe it. They're absolutely stunned into silence. Oh, Bradley Smith's gone down. Bradley Smith's fallen out of 7th place. 7th place, and he's gone down at turn number 7. He's perfectly okay.
Yeah, that again is up at that museum corner. Certainly brought a few people down, hasn't it?
Guys, I'm actually just down here with Paolo Ciabatti and Ducati. Paolo, very unfortunate race day for you guys. What's the feedback from the riders been? Because they both seem to have crashed over the front wheel.
Well, I think it's a different crash. I didn't speak to the riders, but it looks like Dovi crashed on this patch of different asphalt, and Mark did the same. So I think they were maybe on the limit, and the grip on that part may be different. Dovi, I think, I think he was just pushing hard and he lost the front. That's it.
But both riders are okay, yeah?
Yeah, okay. Disappointed, but okay.
Thank you very much, Paolo.
Disappointed as you think they are. This is a war of attrition. So now we have just 14 riders in.
Bradley Smith looks pretty shaken up by that fall. Barrel rolling through the gravel trap. Disappointment for Smith. What this has done, amazingly, has put Marc Marquez into 13th place. And as Nick said, quite rightly, come the final reckoning in Valencia in mid-November, how crucial could be these extra points, these bonus points really, that Marc Marquez stands to collect here in Le Mans.
We ride with Jorge Lorenzo, 7.6 second advantage at the front over his teammate Valentino Rossi. This is Danilo Petrucci. What a great return to Grand Prix racing for the Italian on the Pram at Ducati, currently running in 7th place. Yeah, lots have crashed in front of him, but he has stayed on, and behind him is Hector Barbera. Hector Barbera in the middle of a very good season indeed as they come up towards the Shimano Buff S's. So just over 6 laps to go, and this is the battle for 7th place.
Hector Barbera on his way to a 5th straight top 10 finish in MotoGP for the first time in his career. He'll want to make it one place better as he hunts down Danilo Petrucci. The gap between the two of them less than a second. There's a good fight going on for 5th place between the Espargaro brothers. They're separated by just 7/10 of a second. It's advantage pole at the moment in the Tech 3 team's home race. Dani Pedrosa not making any significant impression on Maverick Vinales for 3rd place. Last time around, Pedrosa just fractionally quicker by about 1/10 of a second, so Pedrosa will be running out of time.
This is Loris Baz. Well, he's going to pick up some very welcome points in 12th place in front of his home crowd. It's important for him, obviously. Funny enough, he was 12th here last year, wasn't he? Loris Baz on his MotoGP debut at Le Mans. Another steady old ride by Eugene Labadie. Some big points again for the Irish rider running in 11th place, while all the other British riders fall out. Scott Redding with a mechanical problem, Brandy Smith and Cal Crutchlow with crashes. Labadie just rats in the points. Good to see also Stefan Bradl in the 10th place on the Aprilia. So Aprilia are going to pick up some pretty decent points with Battista running 9th and Bradl in 10th.
That will be Alvaro Bautista's best performance since he joined the Aprilia team last year. His previous best was a 10th place. There he is, the former 125cc world champion. He's about 2.2 seconds clear of his teammate Stefan Bradley. We just saw momentarily come into view at the top of your picture. Lorenzo and Rossi are already over the line. Jorge Lorenzo is still lapping inside the 133s. Don't think he's done a 134 lap as yet, Jorge Lorenzo. Rossi last time around was only 0.3 of a second back, but with so many riders crashing out, Valentino Rossi will be going into a risk-free strategy now. He'll know these are 20 absolutely vital points for his World Championship challenge.
Well, I think when you ride a race at the front as well as Jorge Lorenzo does, and some of the great riders have, you keep that pace going, don't you? By keeping that pace going, you stay in that same rhythm, that same level of concentration. They do say if you start to try and drop it a bit, your concentration can drop a bit, and your whole racing feel can change. So he just racks them up every single time.
Guys, I'm just going to bring you down here to someone who unfortunately crashed, also had this harder option front tyre. Tito Rabat. Tito, you told us you're okay, that's good news, but what about this crash? I mean, you went hard on the front. Had conditions changed a bit since yesterday?
Yes, I don't know why the grip is a little bit low, but I feel very good on the bike. I feel every time better and better, and I pass bad, and I don't know why in turn 6 the front close, and I can do nothing now without one advice. Then we will see, try to keep working, keep build the confidence, and next GP come back.
Thank you very much, Tito.
Good news is that Tito Rabat is okay. The bad news for the opposition is that Jorge Lorenzo is just keeping up this fast, consistent lapping of the Bugatti circuit here in Le Mans. The gap between him and Valentino Rossi now is 8.7 seconds. But as Matt said, 20 precious points from Valentino Rossi after he had to start from 7th place and had to start from the 3rd row of the grid. Another great afternoon for Yamaha.
I think if you'd have said to Valentino Rossi just before this 28-lap race started that he'll finish second behind Jorge Lorenzo, he would have asked where he had to sign up. This is where all the drama happened with Andrea Dovizioso and Marc Marquez just a few laps ago. A unique kind of crash, the two of them in completely separate instance going down at the exact same time. This is Rossi up at turn number 2. He got a bit carved up in the early laps with Valentino Rossi. He's normally the sort of chief aggressor, isn't he? But he got a bit of a taste of his own medicine in the first couple of laps. But 7th to 2nd place, that's like 20 gold points for Rossi.
What about gold points for Maverick Vinales as he chases his first ever MotoGP podium finish? The first for Suzuki since 2009. This is in the middle of making a decision who's going to stay with Suzuki or join Yamaha. Hasn't really helped, is it? Because the two Yamahas are 1 and 2, and the Suzuki he's riding is in 3rd place. Well, he hasn't made the choice any easier, but great rider by Maverick Vinales. Is there any more twists in this race? You just don't know. I think probably with the first 2 men, and I'm sure Maverick Vinales now with that podium place in his sights will just make sure he brings the Suzuki home.
Yeah, you wonder though how this might sway his decision about next year, getting that Suzuki on the podium for the first time in almost a decade.
This is him up at turn 1. 2 wins here. His very first Grand Prix win came here in the 125cc class. He's also a Moto3 winner. Davide Brivio, team manager of Suzuki, of course the man behind Valentino Rossi and Yamaha. First time around, we'll be pretty happy. Alicia Spargo running in 6th and Maverick Vinales running in 3rd place. There is Vinales. A bit lonely. I know Danny Pedrosa, I'm sure, isn't quite close enough. I thought he was really closing the gap, but as you can see, that gap is really constant, isn't it? Riding a very good race in 3rd place. Danny Pedrosa will be disappointed. Well, starting so far back, really, the crashing qualifier messed him up, didn't it?
It did. Yeah, Danny Pedrosa had to start from 11th place on the grid, so it's a bit of an unexpected 4th for him. He's pretty safe in that 4th place. He's 2 seconds behind this man, Maverick Vinales. He's well clear by over 6 seconds ahead of Pol Espargaro. But again, it's going to be 3rd race in a row that Danny Pedrosa has failed to finish on the podium. Lorenzo again, he still hasn't dropped in the 134s. It's just quite amazing, his performance so far. The advantage now 9.3 seconds.
He's going for the 10-second mark, isn't he? I don't think there's any doubt about that. Still 3 laps to go. Only the first 4 or 5 have crossed the line. Lorenzo, Rossi, Vinales and Pedrosa and Pol Espargaro. And we have Aleix Espargaro.
Yeah, something's happened to Aleix Espargaro because he's just done a 1:36.067. And Pol Espargaro will have the bragging rights in the Espargaro household tonight because he's now 4.8 seconds clear of older brother.
Petrucci in 7th, Hector Barbara in 8th, Alvaro Bautista in 9th. Stefan Bradl should cross the line in 10th place, so 2 top finishes for Aprilia. Eugene Lavity will continue his good season in 11th. Loris Baz picking up some very welcome points in 12th place, and Marc Marquez soldiers on, a lap down or not, in 13th place.
So 2.5 laps to go then for Maverick Vinales to get himself a bit of Suzuki history. Their first podium since they returned to the MotoGP World Championship last year after a 3-year sabbatical, I guess you could say, a self-imposed exile for the Hamamatsu factory.
Let's have a look at the Master of Le Mans in action. Decimated Marc Marquez's old lap record to take his first pole position from the very moment he led up into that Dunlop chicane at the start of the race. I don't think there was a great deal of doubt in anybody's minds that he wasn't going to win this race. It's 60, I'm trying to work out how many Grand Prix wins now for Jorge Lorenzo. It's 64 pole positions, isn't it?
Yeah, he's about to take his 42nd MotoGP victory, his 63rd win, equaling his 63rd pole position of yesterday. It's his 101st podium in the Premier Class. Of course, last time out in Jerez, he became only the 3rd rider in history in the Premier Class to get to a century of podium finishes. His 139th of his career coming up. What it would be, it's his 9th visit to Le Mans in MotoGP. This will be his 5th win. So he's got an incredible record here in France.
Safely through the Garage Vert corner. It's a little short straight before the Shimano Puff S's. You'll see him sit up, seamless gearbox down through the gears into the left-hander. Now the right. Even from this camera angle, he looks smooth, doesn't he?
Cool, we better take a photograph of the time machines. He's just dropped into the 134s. He's slacking, Lorenzo, isn't he? What's he doing?
Come on. What are you playing at?
That's, I mean, to get to lap 26, to drop into the 134s, it's just been nothing short of sensational from Lorenzo. He starts the last lap. He's easing off a little bit now. He knows that he's got a comfortable margin ahead of this man, Valentino Rossi, a 134.2 from Lorenzo.
Great ride by Rossi, having to start from that 7th place on the grid. A bit of rough and tumble in the early stages when he fought his way through. Maverick Vinales now just 2.600 miles before he should be taking his first ever MotoGP podium finish. And this is Dani Pedrosa. This is where he crashed in qualifying yesterday.
Yeah, another great weekend for Yamaha, of course. Another 1-2. Last time out in Jerez, it was their first 1-2 since Catalonia last year. So back-to-back 1-2s for Yamaha. I wonder what Maverick Vinales will think when he stands next to those 2 factory Yamaha riders on the podium.
What was it like? Oh, here comes Hector Barbara trying to get up the inside of Danilo Petrucci. Desperate to take over 7th place, but desperate also not to spoil that record by crashing out.
Yeah, great fight here for 7th place. Petrucci's got the advantage at the moment ahead of Hector Barbara. What a return to actually speed with Danilo Petrucci. He wouldn't have expected to have returned after that long injury absence. Oh, he's got it in a bit too hot there at the museum corner where Marquez and Dovizioso bit the dust. He did a great job there.
Didn't he do a good job to keep that
he did.
On the rails. Here comes Barbara once again, up the inside, down at Garage Vert. And I think he's blocked the space, but he runs wide. And Petrucci says, I might have a bad hand, but we salute Jorge Lorenzo. He celebrated his 29th birthday earlier this week. He's won here in Le Mans, and he leads the World Championship. In 2nd place, his teammate Valentino Rossi.
Lorenzo's the man in Le Mans, and Maverick Vinales, huge wheelie over the line for the Suzuki rider. His career first MotoGP podium for the Spaniard, and Suzuki back on a Premier Class podium for the first time in 7 years.
Another great ride by Paul Espargaro on that Tech 3 Yamaha to 5th place. His brother Aleix in 6th. Suzuki 3rd and 6th.